actually take our lavender out and we plant something else. We do that because we want to have a balanced soil and we don't want disease spreading and things like that. And if you leave, cultivate something too long in a field, that's when you have diseases and you have issues of unbalanced soil, so weaken plants, and you know, an essential oil is the way that the plants defend itself, so it's weakened, the oil is not as good either. So we actually use Einkorn as a rotation. We plant Einkorn for 2 years after the lavender, and then we can plant something else or lavender again, but usually we want to have something different for 3 years minimum in that field. Einkorn likes the same type of soil. Actually, Einkorn is a really easy grain to grow. We do not need any fertilizers, and of course we don't use any pesticide, herbicide, anything like that. It doesn't need anything, and that's awesome. We don't have irrigation either, no irrigation. And Einkorn, interestingly enough, we grow it for 2 years for a simple reason. When you have a field of regular wheat, if you go in that field and you know you have a stem right here and the wheat is there and you go like this, it'll go bounce and come back and be exactly the same. If you do this on a stem of Einkorn, everything, all those little seeds will just spread out, all right? Because it's made like that. That's nature's ways of spreading seeds, you know? So if you kick a little of the Einkorn, everywhere. So when we come in our Einkorn field to gather the crop, we're actually losing a lot of them. And it's just been reseeded. We didn't have to do anything. The next year it's growing again. We didn't have to do anything. So it's perfect for Frenchmen. No need for action. So Einkorn is the oldest form of wheat that ever existed, is what we're understanding. And the nutritional value of it is very interesting. And that's why we started making products out of Einkorn at Young Living. Now Einkorn is different than wheat for many reasons. First of all, it's much smaller. It's a crop that we have to grow for 11 months compared to regular wheat. It's 5-6 months to grow it. Yeah. So this is a grain of Einkorn out of a field. Interestingly enough, the grain, the berry, is actually inside this little pocket. So this is what we call the husk, and this is the berry. The husk weighs as much as the berry. That means that if out of a field we gather 1 ton of Einkorn, after we've cleaned it out and separated, we only have 400 kilos of actual berries, because a lot of it also is rocks and other things that comes out of the field. So this is what we use and eat, this berry. This goes, we use some of it that goes in the lavender pillows. You know, we have lavender and Einkorn husk pillows. So that's what we can do with it, or it can go for animals or other use like that. But this is what we eat, the berry. So this whole little treating facility for the Einkorn is actually new. It's 2 years old. This new part was added 2 years ago. So it's 2 years old. This is an older warehouse, but most of the machines are brand new. How does it, so the way it works is simple, but it's well thought, because Jérôme, and you'll meet him, Blondie is Jérôme's name. Blondie loves mechanical things. So he used to invent all the machines that did everything. Now he's bought some to work with his machines, but he's the mechanical engineer in his head. So how it works is, once a farmer has cropped and gathered their Einkorn, they'll come and they'll dump it in this thing right behind you. And from there, everything will work by suction. So the grains will be sucked all the way to the top of this tower and then slowly come down. So the first machine at the top of the tower is the dehusking unit. Basically, it's like a hammer that turns like this very fast along a metal part with holes. And when it's pivoting along the hole, it presses on the grain, and it'll press until the grain pops out and the husk is separated.
A bit like the windmills.
Yes, exactly.
We have lots of those.
It dehusks. So it separates the berry and the husk. That's the first machine. And that's a machine that Blondie invented. Then we have to clean. So we still have the husk and the berry are separated, but we have to clean. You know, we have to make sure there's all the husk taken out and that there's no rocks or anything else from the field. So we have two big machines on the second floor that are, one will suck up everything lighter, so anything lighter than a berry will be sucked up, and then it will shake out anything that is smaller than the berry itself. Afterwards, we have a machine that's like a big tumble dryer, and it will, oh, okay, so this one I never get right, but it'll separate anything longer or longer or not thicker, but narrower than the berry. That's difficult for me, but that's the second machine that'll start, you know, separating and make sure that it's only the berry. After this, normally we actually have a clean berry with nothing left in it, but Jérôme, of course, added a third machine that is called an optical cleaner. An optical cleaner will have all the berries fall down like a rain. It's right there, the machine. Everything falls down like a rain, so all the berries are falling constantly like this. And the optical cleaner is looking at every color of every berry, and if there's anything off color, like a blackberry or a little piece of rock, it'll blow on it and get rid of that particle. So at the end of that, you have a perfectly clean product, and it's ready to mill. And we have our mill. You can see that little wood thing in the background all the way over there. That's actually our mill. It's a granite, it's 2-stone granite mill turning in the opposite direction. In theory, Blondie's supposed to be here and milling because I actually need flour, so would you mind calling Blondie?